The purpose of this hearing is to receive testimony from expert witnesses from the federal government and as well as the private sector about the growing threat of unmanned aerial systems, more commonly known as UASs or drones. We will hear from two panels today, and our first panel consists of three witnesses from the federal government. Good afternoon. I'd like to welcome you all to today's important hearing on the threats posed by unmanned aircraft or aerial systems, UASs or drones, and the threat to U.S. national security and the policy solutions that could mitigate these risks. Before we begin, I'd like to personally recognize two individuals, Congressman Dan Bishop and Congressman Anthony D'Esposito, for their service to the subcommittee and to our nation, and I wish them well in their future endeavors. As we sit here today, we are at a critical juncture in the evolution of military technology, commercial innovation, and cybersecurity. UASs have become a transformative force. They've been used in countless positive ways that include revolutionizing many industries like agriculture, logistics, film production, and others, while also improving capabilities for humanitarian relief and law enforcement. However, as with any powerful technology, UAS have also introduced significant security challenges. In recent years, the proliferation of UAS, both domestically and abroad, has raised serious concerns regarding their potential misuse in criminal activities, espionage, and more alarmingly, in threats to U.S. national security. From foreign adversaries seeking to exploit UAS for surveillance and intelligence gathering, to the growing risk of UAS being weaponized to attack critical infrastructure, sports stadiums, our vulnerabilities are clear. The risk posed by commercial and military-grade UAS in the hands of rogue states, non-state actors, terrorist organizations, and even individuals cannot be overstated. There have already been several troubling incidents where UAS have been used to penetrate airspace, compromising not only our national security but public safety. Threats to our homeland can also derive from the manufacturing of products that Americans frequently use. A glaring example is the widespread use of drones manufactured by Dajiang Innovations, DJI, a Chinese company whose products are deeply embedded in U.S. industries and critical sectors. These systems raise national security concerns, including risk of unauthorized data access and systemic vulnerabilities. Multiple U.S. departments and agencies have already admonished against or banned the procurement of certain UAS originating in the People's Republic of China in recognitions of the threats that they pose. Just this past October, reports indicated that CBP is blocking the importation of some UAS produced by DJI due to potential violations of the Uyghur Forced Labor Prevention Act, which is a law that prohibits the importation of goods into the U.S. produced in whole or in part with forced labor out of the PRC. We must work to protect U.S. communications equipment while strengthening U.S. supply chains by ensuring foreign manufactured technologies that pose security threats cannot operate in U.S. networks. The threats posed by UAS continues to present challenges. The U.S. border is one of the most significant vulnerabilities when it comes to this type of threat. UAS have already been used to circumvent traditional border security measures such as fences, walls, and surveillance towers. UAS have been used to smuggle drugs and weapons across the border and surveil CBP locations for human smugglers to then evade detection. CBP officials have consistently raised concerns that Mexican narco-terrorist gangs are using weaponized UAS only a short distance from the U.S. border, and in many cases operating inside the United States. UAS also pose a significant threat to critical infrastructure, including power grids, oil refineries, airports, water treatment plants, and transportation systems. A single UAS carrying explosives could potentially cause widespread damage, interrupt services, and result in significant economic loss to our homeland. Additionally, recent events illustrate the diverse roles UAS have played in both state-on-state conflict and asymmetric engagements, such as those in Ukraine and Israel, as well as their use in potential intelligence gathering operations near sensitive military installations at home and abroad. We must learn from these conflicts to help protect our homeland security. DHS and DOJ were given counter-UHS authorities as part of the Preventing Emerging Threats Act of 2018, which became law as part of the FAA Reauthorization Act of 2018. The current authorities provided under the act are set to expire on December 20th, 2024, just 1 week from now. Over the past years, DHS and DOJ have used these authorities to engage in activities to protect covered facilities and assets against credible threats posed by UAS, notwithstanding laws such as the Wiretap Act or the Aircraft Sabotage Act that could otherwise limit such activities. It's imperative that we not only make sure that the current authorities are extended to protect our national security, but also work together to responsibly reform the current legal authorities that provide federal agencies with critical tools to mitigate credible threats posed by UAS. I'd like to applaud Chairman Green, as well as Ranking Member Thompson, for their bipartisan work alongside members on T&I and Judiciary for introducing H.R. 8610, the Counter-UAS Authority Security, Safety, and Reauthorization Act of 2024. This legislation will renew and reform current counter-UAS legal authorities. The legislation will also modify and improve counter-UAS authorities of the Federal Aviation Administration, enhance important protections for the civil liberties of Americans using UAS in a legal and responsible manner, and strengthen public safety in communities throughout this nation. For instance, the legislation requires DHS to establish a counter-UAS mitigation pilot program under which selected state and covered law enforcement agencies may operate approved counter-UAS mitigation systems and mitigate unauthorized UAS operations on behalf of covered entities at a number of sites each. Today, we're going to hear from experts in the fields of national security, law enforcement, defense, and technology who will provide insights into the threats posed by the UAS and family of systems to our homeland and efforts to address these challenges. And I just want to say, if you're watching the news today, we've had several incidents that have occurred and are occurring right now in places like New Jersey. Recently, we had an incident at Langley Air Force Base. The threat is real. This hearing, I think, will address many topics. Maybe we don't have all the answers that come out of this hearing, but my hope is that by having this hearing, by asking both the government and non-governmental panel, that we can get to the right questions, and we can, if we don't have the right policies in place, then let's get those policies in place. If we do, and the authorities are there, then let's figure out what we can continue to do to keep our homeland safe. There's many aspects of this, but the most important aspect is the safety and the security of every American citizen and the life that we live here. I look forward to hearing from our distinguished panels today and working in a bipartisan manner. I now